Lemur and Yeti. And
I told you I want a song just like that. I want like a soft song like Lemur and Yeti.
I was thinking it'd be funny to have like 80 synthesizers leading a
Does anyone have like a 2-story house we can go to and just record a video of us like walking down the stairs or something, like all happy and like giddy about everything?
That'd be awesome. Alright.
And then Michael knocks over 3 electrons and be like, Michael!
That's me.
Here, scoot in.
Yeah, you need to be closest.
Oh
Without breaking it. Are you kidding me?
Here.
Well, now you owe us $700.
Yeah.
Pick up your chair.
Alright, there you go.
How much for the PC you would want?
$1,200.
$1,200.
Alright.
And that's like
$1,200
what I would really want.
$1,200.
I'll do it for you, eh?
I just keep those in my pocket
Sure,
at
we
all
can really
times.
Make that 1,200 into like 18.
Sorry about that.
Oh, you're good. But if it doesn't work,
The,
I'm going to find you.
Alright. Alright, everybody, it's Lemur and Yeti, and we actually have a full group today again with War Horse, or War Pony. We have Red Wolf.
What is this podcast?
Oh, sorry, it's the... Wait, what are we talking about?
Yeah. The Lemur and Yeti podcast.
And we have returning and a permanent member, Xantamal, also known as Bryce.
Comalacta.
What?
Comalacta is... he goes by many names, and I think Comalacta is my favorite. So, what are we talking about?
Waving at the mic.
Waving at the microphone.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Hello there.
We got to do our weekly wave.
I wonder if you can see that's us waving.
You get the wind sound effect
I
or
was
something?
hoping that would shine through.
This week we are going to talk about, so that our viewers, all 30 of them, I'm being sarcastic. Anyways, so that they get a
It's our
better...
moms.
Yeah. Actually, I don't think our mom's watched it yet.
No, my mom wouldn't watch this. Nothing against my mom.
Yeah.
She just, this is not,
But we're going to talk more about ourselves to let everybody know why we're into these things. So it's going to be the geeky or nerdy things that we were into when we were younger that brought us to like the things that we like now.
Mm-hmm.
Not specifying if you are a geek or a nerd.
Just these things.
Just
Why
these
are we
things.
on a podcast talking about these
geek
types
and
of
nerdy
things?
things, which would, for most people, qualify you as a geek or nerd, I guess.
Yeah. I'm just going to stop there. So, with that being said, we're going to have Nico, my main man War Pony, over to my right. We're going to have him kick it off. Boom! Nico, lay it down. Lay it down. Tell us about your life. Tell us why. Why did you get into all this stuff? What was it?
Tell us about those thugonomics.
Yeah, those basic thugonomics. All right. So, tell us about what was the earliest memory of all these I don't know. What was you guys liked Naruto and stuff?
Anime.
Is that the earliest one?
I would probably say so.
So Naruto specifically.
Yeah, because I remember we had back when I was 5, we had the whole
That way.
we had the whole first and I think second seasons of Pokemon on VHS.
Nice.
And we used to watch those all the time. And then Yu-Gi-Oh! And there was also Yu-Gi-Oh! And then Naruto came out. And then we also, for a while there, I know we watched Bleach.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Haven't watched it, but I've heard good things.
and I wasn't as into it as he was, but I had seen random episodes of
He being Michael.
Yeah.
They are in fact brothers.
What?
Well, this whole time we didn't know.
We are?
Are we in an M. Night Shyamalan movie? Alright, so anyways.
Continue.
So,
I was gonna say I saw a little bit of Trigun, Lupin the Third, and there was some
So
other.
you guys were
animes.
really into anime growing up.
He was more than I.
So Michael was.
don't
Michael's
point
more in-
fingers.
Yeah,
Alright, calm
he's
down.
like, whoa, easy guy. I like
It was
football.
sports. I like sports.
Hey, I like sports. I'm not a nerd. Anyways, I'm going to recant. For the record, it was a fire axe, not a hammer, that Saladin has. The Rise of Iron, it was revealed that Saladin does in fact have an axe, and I was giving you crap about that.
Yeah.
So we can move on now. You were right. I was wrong. Continue.
And then I know we used to play Yu-Gi-Oh when we were younger. Stopped there for a while, and then you would consider video games geeky, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
So then tons and tons
As long
of
as
video
it's
games.
not Madden.
Yeah.
Because I like football.
Madden's just annoying.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Madden. My brother, he was really into Madden games. I would play it with him, and it's mostly just because I didn't really even get into football until a couple of years ago, and that was just because, I don't know, I just was like, I'll give it a shot. Not that I didn't like it, it was just I didn't care.
Yeah.
So you guys liked video games and whatnot. We talked about you liking... Cindy might be home. We talked about you guys growing up playing games on the GameCube, right? Like, and then you played Conker's Bad Fur Day. Shame on you both.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend that.
Actually, shame on your parents. But
Yes.
Multiplayer is fine.
They're like,
Stop
yeah,
making
what's the rating on it? She's like, yeah, rated M. This will be good for a 6-year-old, right?
You were 6 when that came out?
Man, that was a cheap shot
that
at
was
your
a
parents out of nowhere. I'm sorry, Mr. and Mrs. Wood. I apologize.
I'm gonna have them listen to this.
Yeah.
Oh, you're not having them listen to it yet? Oh, I see how it is. Even though we all just said, yeah, our parents will listen.
Yeah, there's no way that my parents listen to this. So I can say whatever I want. I love you, Mom and Dad.
Just waiting for somebody to say something.
Anyways, cool. So that's like, so anime, we've clearly seen here that you were the anime buff, not Michael, you.
Apparently.
So you and Michael, but more Michael, you guys were into anime.
Yeah.
A little more on Michael though. And since you guys grew up together, please add to that, Michael. Add to what he's saying. Like, what was like these animes?
Yours? Yeah.
What was the first one that you watched?
Probably Pokemon.
Pokemon, yeah, like most people around our age. I know you guys are younger than us, but everybody from
Close enough.
yeah, I mean, like we all were watching Pokemon and Digimon and so on and so forth. Dragon Ball Z.
Pokemon's like the gateway drug of anime, right?
It is. It is a little bit. So Pokemon, and then all these other ones that are a little more like the grown-up animes, like Bleach and what was the other one? And Naruto, but I considered Bleach like more grown-up.
Yeah.
Naruto's a little more kiddie.
We were pretty much into so many different ones, especially me.
Yeah.
Oh, One Piece.
One Piece?
We're not proud of that one.
Oh, careful. There's a lot of One Piece fans out there.
And they all need to get over themselves.
Hashtag truth.
That was hashtag lemur opinions.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Hashtag keep Yeti out of it. No, just kidding.
Alright, we want to go here? We'll go here. Alright, when your show is about sailing the waters and you're on like the 9,000th episode, quit sailing. You're failed. You're not going to become the king of the seas. Whatever. They're on like episode like 900 something.
That
Wow.
is insane.
I read one of the mangas. Well, most of it. I liked the artwork in it. I liked some of the stuff, but yeah, I didn't get into it. That's for sure. It wasn't my cup of tea.
Anything, Michael, that you want to add that really was more of a geeky, nerdy thing for you?
I don't know.
Nothing else you can think? That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Then we'll jump over to Bryce, and let's hear Bryce's answer to this. I think me and Derek know where this is going.
Yipper doodles.
So I watched My Little Pony.
So, let's see. I have 2 older brothers that were kind of big influence on most like video games and everything. Not so much TV shows, but video games. So it was like playing Mega Man X when I was, I think, 4 or 5.
Yeah, Mega Man X.
Since I wasn't good at 4, I kind of memorized all the Game Genie codes to pass up some of the hard spots. With the Game Genie for Super Nintendo, there's a switch you could turn it on and off.
Yeah.
So, like, the first boss you have to die to. So I remember switching it off. switching it back on
Oh,
after I
yeah.
die.
Are you talking about Mega Man X, right?
Yeah.
Or- yeah, the guy in the mech suit.
No, that's fine.
I thought, oh yeah, the mech suit guy.
Yeah.
And
then Zero comes and rescues
spoilers.
you. Yeah, spoiler alert.
I was gonna get that game next week.
It's such
Yeah.
a good game, man. That is an awesome game.
like playing that game, playing Crystallis, playing
Me and my brothers, my brothers and I,
yeah.
we played that as well. Right. Me and my brothers and I, we played Mega Man X as well. And I remember when we got past all the basic bosses, we always had that code saved. Because, you can, when you go and just get your save point, you would enter in all those codes, the numbers.
It was actually the numbers with the faces going across, so you could memorize one or the other. Because there are load codes. There wasn't really a physical memory on the game.
Yeah, no.
You used the codes to
It
continue
basically,
where you
yeah, it gave you everything that you had.
hopefully.
Yeah. I looked up a code when I bought it on my Wii. I looked it up,
nice.
and I got all of the unlocks, because I was like, I wanted to see if it would work, and original codes from back in the day still worked.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So my brothers influenced a lot of my gaming, like playing Super Metroid. Let's see, Super Metroid, Final Fantasy, Mystic Quest, which was a terrible game but awesome at the same time.
When you're younger,
Yeah,
I mean, is it regarded as a bad game?
I feel like people would say yes.
Which
Yeah.
one?
Mystic Quest? I've never even heard of it.
Yeah, it was a no name. They always talked about Final Fantasy 6, which is 3, but it's 6.
Yeah, that.
And they rented it, and I always wanted to play it, and it's been probably the best one out there. And I played probably up to 10, and I didn't like 10 so much, so 7.
Wait, that was on PS2, right? 10?
Yes, PS2. It
Yes,
actually
PS2.
it actually broke our PS2, like scratched, so we couldn't really finish part of the game. So it's like whatever. Go back to playing 9, and which was PlayStation 1. But 7, I remember beating 7 when I was like in, what was that, 4th grade?
Probably.
My brother helped me with the materia setup, which was the equipment load.
Yeah.
But it was still just beating it in like under 40 hours was pretty amazing, I felt like, because none of the other kids at school talked about really video games, except for like GoldenEye, which was very violent. And kids were... That's when they start banning kids play fighting and shooting and stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, so a lot of video game influence. Then just my brothers kind of pushed all that. Then I guess more the anime started coming in with Pokemon in 5th grade.
I would say before that, though, what about Star Wars?
Star Wars.
When did that start? Because
That's
now,
where we were
let me
going.
just say, Bryce, I don't know, I didn't know if you had a plan out, but one of the things about Bryce is that he is he's very quiet about it, but he has a wealth of Star Wars knowledge in his mind, and he is very knowledgeable on Star Wars. So I just wanted to make sure that we touch on that too.
But I know nothing about Star Wars.
I know everything and nothing, man.
Kind of, I think it was like 2nd or 3rd grade. We had the, I think it was the Star Wars Episode 6 Super Nintendo game. I remember watching it on TV, and I was playing the game at the same time.
Yeah.
And the Emperor fell to his death at the same time when I beat it. And that was like such amazing.
That was a mind-blowing moment right there.
Yeah.
It's like, oh.
You're just staring at both like, oh!
They both died.
That's awesome.
And those games were pretty hard, so I probably cheated on them.
They
I'm
were
not
hard.
Sure.
The Star Wars
I think
games
I did
for like
Infinite
the
Lives.
NES and stuff like that, they were hard games.
Yeah, the first one was probably by far the hardest.
Yeah.
Because you didn't have the Jedi powers.
Yeah.
They just got stronger and better as you progressed. Like every Star Wars game. Except for Bounty Hunter. Yeah, so a lot of Star Wars influence.
Yeah.
I think my brothers was another influence for that. Because, like...
Well, I'm I have two older brothers as well, so those guys influenced my choices in most areas of my life growing up, like the things that I like. Now, as I got older, I started developing my own taste, but those guys, they had a huge impact on the things that I liked, the things I watched, and music I listened to. So I know what you mean. Like they're the same way. We would play GoldenEye but there was a lot of times when I had to cut them off and play Yoshi's Island, and they loved that. No, Yoshi's Story. Yoshi's Story for 64. But anyways, back to you.
The biggest thing that probably Star Wars influence was getting a... Wow, I'm going blank on it. Star Wars 64 game.
It was Pod Racer.
No, that came out later. Is it Shadows of the Empire?
I'm
going blank for this pod.
You're the smart
no,
one
you're
here.
good, man.
With Dash Randall.
I couldn't remember Stephen Amell's
Rendar.
name, or Amell. I don't even know how to say it. So,
Dash Randall game. First level, you're in the snow speeder and you're just fighting the AT-ATs. It's just crazy to have that happen on a console. Because we had a kind of weak computer with the TIE Fighter game and stuff like that, which was fun, but it was a little bit too slow. I didn't start playing TIE Fighter till we had a Windows 98 or something like that. And it was TIE Fighter was amazing, but I'm going blank on this 64 game. But we played that through so many times, unlocked everything that we knew of. And that kind of just started the base because it wasn't the Star Wars story, it was a side story.
Shadows of the Empire?
Shadows of the Empire. Is that what I said?
He's Dash Rendar from Shadows of the Empire.
Okay,
I was
awesome.
looking up too.
I wasn't ignoring you. I was trying to find what game it was.
So, kind of starting with Shadows of the Empire was the biggest, learning about other stories.
Is that the game with where the Wampa is silently walking and
All of a sudden,
that freaked me out.
It was a scary game for being in 3rd or 4th grade.
Yeah.
I think it was 3rd grade.
Because Dale played it, and I remember when he came up on that on the Wampa, it scared me half to death. Dude.
It was an expensive game too. I think it was $65 for a Nintendo 64 game.
Yup.
It was one of those few expensive games.
Man.
But that kind of started it. Then playing Pod Racer, Road Squadron was really fun, and all the Road Squadrons.
I played Pod Racer as well.
Then
I loved it.
Like I was talking about TIE Fighter. I didn't like X-Wing versus TIE Fighter so much, but TIE Fighter was where I started playing even more Star Wars games and just having the own story about a rogue commander and stuff like that, rogue general, and just awesome.
Nice.
And just learning more side stories beyond the main story. Then started with Dark Forces and Call of Katarn and just...
Those are the PC games, huh?
Yeah.
I have those.
Yeah, I think I bought them for you or something.
For my birthday, yeah. I like the one that I think Dark Forces was the kind of more
It was
Doom.
close to Doom, yeah.
Yeah, that one was good. That was the one I got the farthest on. It was hard though. It was really hard to see where you're going, and it was fun.
It's when games were hard, so
yeah.
I think I used a lot of cheat codes for those too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of
back when games were hard, but then you would just use cheat codes. It didn't matter.
Because you're under 10, so it's what do you do?
Yeah. I do find that funny when anyone mentions games used to be hard, and it's when you think about it, it's most of it. Anybody who says that, it's yeah, but you didn't beat the game until you put the cheat codes in.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, that's a lot of Star Wars. And kind of middle school was when all the anime started, because we finally went from People's Choice stupid cable and got Dish Network or something, so we had Cartoon Network. And my parents went to bed early, so I was able to stay up and watch all the shows.
Toonami, yeah.
Toonami.
Yeah.
Yep.
Started off probably with Rurouni Kenshin, which was kind of an off-name one, but it was pretty awesome.
Which one? I don't even know which one that is.
It's on Crunchyroll.
Crunchyroll!
if you want to watch it.
Crunchyroll!
It's a samurai, Batosai, Manslayer.
So, Samurai Champloo. I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
it's not.
sure.
I'm just kidding. Oh, Samurai!
And kind of just that continued on to Cowboy Bebop and Trigun, Full Metal Alchemist.
Full Metal Alchemist.
And
Did you say Alchemist?
sure, Alchemist. I'm not even sure which one's my favorite. I think I do love the
Favorites we can save for another episode. Let's
Ooh,
calm down.
teaser.
We do another.
Apparently, we all have way more anime love than I thought we did.
Yeah.
Like,
Well-
I mean, I knew that we liked anime, but I didn't realize how much of anime.
One of the
we
first
actually...
things we ever connected on was Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, it's true.
We would sit at both of our houses just watching seasons of that I had.
Oh yeah.
that's Lemur and Yeti talking
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, Lemur and Yeti. Yes.
But
You should know our voices.
yeah.
But for Coma here, it was a lot of, let's see, because we were limited on game time and kind of TV time,
Yeah.
I'd go outside and practice with a bow staff. So I was O, original N, Napoleon. So, O-N.
Sweet bow staff skills.
Yeah.
I'll give you a little story there, what he's talking about for anybody listening that doesn't know. We were at a church camp, and was this the first year that we met?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Bryce and I were on the same team, and each team had to do a skit, and Bryce, in a lot of ways, he had long curly hair, he's very shy, very quiet, he was a lot of ways like Napoleon Dynamite. For our skit, he was Napoleon Dynamite, and you got short of a standing ovation for your dramatic exit when you got mad, and he did the most perfect Napoleon Dynamite run, dressed completely like him, and everybody just, it was so good. So now that he's saying that he did, he practiced his sweet bow staff skills, that's just even more proof that you were. I think that they stole your life story for that movie.
They did.
Basically.
They did.
Yeah, so
Oh god.
we had also a sword fight with, whatever.
Did you? No, I've asked you this before. Brandon he did the armor sword fighting, right?
Yeah, he
and
did
then later Justin's
Justin's
got into
doing
it.
it now, yeah.
So you've never done
No.
it though. Okay.
No.
I've actually, you know what?
I
Was
don't have the
funny?
strength for it.
The strength. So Brandon and I, we had a welding class together, and he actually paid me like $10 to sandblast his helmet for him for that. I was like, heck yes, I'll do that. He didn't want to do it, and we went out, you put it in the booth and you have your arms through and you have the sandblasting gun. It's awkward, and I wish you could see right now, because you have to reach out your arms and they're through these holes, and you have a window right up on your face, and you're looking into the sandblasting booth, and you're holding this big metal helmet and you're blasting it with this gun and getting all the crap off of it. And I earned $10, and I was like, sucker.
Yeah.
So, thanks,
Yeah.
Brandon. Cool.
I think that's kind
I mean,
of
well,
my
there's more than that. Just
Just
like
for all
any,
of us, there's more.
any of us here, that we could go on for hours.
We
and
didn't
I'm
want to
sure
make a 10 episode
Yeah,
episode
exactly,
right now.
because
I
we
think.
literally could go on. Because by the time you came into our lives, because John and I, we were hanging out, and then Bryce, he went to a different church, and then you started coming to our church, and we hung out one time randomly, and then we all became like best friends, and then
Golf
we were
and
hanging
stuff,
out.
right?
Yeah, we went to golf and stuff. And then, but what we would do is we would go and we get a 12-pack of Voltage, and we get a huge thing of nacho cheese, and then we would play Left 4 Dead 2 and Halo 3 ODST.
We need to do that
and
again.
yeah, we absolutely need to. And we would just, every single weekend, that was the plan, and it'd just be non-stop playing.
Xbox, if you could make Halo free for us, or Left 4 Dead, that would be great. Thank you.
We would all like a copy
I think
of
I
Left 4
even
Dead.
ended up buying you your first 360.
You did buy me my
yeah,
first
that's right.
360. You guys were both waiting for me at my house, and I came home, and you both had the most dopey looks on your faces. And
David fixed the screen door.
yeah, my brother, was he actually sitting on the living room too? And when you guys did that,
Yeah.
he's like, hey, yeah, fix the screen door, and I'm like, what the heck is going on? And then I look on the couch and there's a black Xbox 360 box sitting there, and I lost my mind. What? It was amazing. Yeah, Bryce bought me a 360. You got it like at an auction, right? I think
No, somebody won it at some type of raffle.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They're like, do you want this? I won't ever use it. So I'm like, okay.
Nice.
Here's $40 on the price.
I swear it's only worth 40. Even deal.
No,
So-
$40 under.
Oh, underprice.
$300 something dollars.
Oh, okay.
It was, which is awesome. So we and then there's more than that, but we played games. Bryce and I, we played. Since I'm talking, and I'll lead up to where you and I played, and all of us. So starting off, I'll go way back, and I would say the first really what would be considered nerdy would be the Batman and Spider-Man cartoons. The Batman animated series. And then the 90s Spider-Man cartoon. We talked about this in our favorite superhero episode. Those are awesome shows. Really good. That was the show where I was watching it at such a young age that Batman has just always been in my memory banks. And same with Spider-Man. It was it started at such a young age. And me and my brothers, we watched those, and we really enjoyed those. And as we grew older, we've played video games. Again, we had the NES. My brothers and my dad, they would play the NES when I was really, really little, like a baby. And then we had it until I think I was about 4 or 5 years old when we got our Super Nintendo. And I've always been into Mario games, and I played the snot out of Mario games on our NES and our Super Nintendo. My favorites were I would play Mario All-Star, which was all of them. It was like Mario the Lost Levels, Mario 2, Mario 3. Then I had Super Mario World, and I just was like, oh. Then I got Yoshi's Island, and oh man, I love those games. Even to this day, I still play those games. I have them all on my Wii U, and or on my 3DS or DS or your DS that you let me borrow, which is still in my car. And we played those games a lot. And as we got older, I think the introduction of fantasy type stuff really happened with Lord of the Rings. And I'm sure you would... Bryce didn't add that, but Bryce is a Lord of the Rings fan as well. And no, shut up. So when Lord of the Rings came out, that kind of that really it changed a lot, because right now those movies had such an impact that I love fantasy video games, I love fantasy books, movies, toys, statues, I don't know, whatever fantasy, I love it. And I've working on 2 comic books right now that are fantasy comics. So Lord of the Rings had probably the biggest effect. I would say superheroes in general and Lord of the Rings are the things that really have impacted my tastes and stuff. And were you gonna say something? Oh, sorry. You moved your hand up hey.
Oh.
Hey! Buongiorno! So, yeah. Then I got into those. My brother David, he read The Lord of the Rings. And so we kind of all got into that. And I remember Dale, he read The Hobbit. And I would have them tell me, I would watch Lord of the Rings with David, and I go, okay, what about this scene in the book? What happens here? Or what didn't they talk about? And he would kind of go through what they didn't add into the movie, or what's different from the books. And I'm actually currently, for the first time, listening through on Audible. Not a sponsor, but can be. Audible.com.
Get all of your books you want to... at audible.com.
Start your free trial today, which is actually true, and they give you a credit, which is awesome because I got the Fellowship of the Ring. Again, this is not an endorsement, but it's a cool service because I got the audiobook for the Fellowship of the Ring, and I've been listening to that, and it's awesome because it was like I was in like 7 hours and they haven't left the Shire yet. You know, like when the first listen through I did, it was one work day I just listened and they hadn't even left the Shire, and it was an entire work day. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is much more detailed than the movies are. And it's awesome, man. So that, and then I got really heavily into comic books. Comic books and motorcycles. Motorcycles aren't nerdy though, so we won't talk about it. It's like, you know, football counteracts the nerd, right, Nico?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Nerd.
As a
So,
compliment.
I got
As a
into
compliment.
that. I got into comics from those cartoons that I used to watch, the Batman and Spider-Man, and we weren't allowed to watch X-Men though. But then as I got older, my parents didn't care anymore. They're like, yeah, whatever. You know the difference between stuff. I was like, okay. They didn't like that Professor X was a psychic, and they just were like, and then so, but then so Pokemon also. I was into Pokemon, Digimon, man, anime. This is hard to keep track of everything because all of this happened like simultaneously. All of these things are going on at the same time. And like video games always being there, anime always being there through Pokemon and Digimon, and then later Dragon Ball Z, a little Gundam Wing. And I got into this point where I hated anime, and I was like, oh no, anime sucks, dude, I hate it. And then, I don't know, a couple of years ago, I started watching Attack on Titan. Not that I hated anime at that point, I just was indifferent towards that, like I didn't care. But then I watched Attack on Titan, and then I got really back into anime, and I started finding new animes that I like. Sword Art Online, I love that one. First season, second season's weird. You have been warned. But, you know, and then this brings we're getting into high school age, where I met John, which was coming up on 11 years ago now.
Oy vey.
And
Mold.
me, you, and Dale, we would play... we played Marvel Ultimate Alliance, and we played Champions Return to Arms.
No, we played. He walked into walls.
Yes, Dale would fall asleep and walk into walls, which is always hilarious.
I'm calling you out, boy.
Oh man, and we really we played the snot out of those games.
Oh, yeah.
And
We beat one. Did we beat Champions? No, we didn't.
we beat both.
We did? We did beat Champions?
Yeah, we beat Champions.
Okay.
It took forever.
Yeah. I remember there was
Forever.
there was literally one boss where it was we would die, and then one of us would just be running around waiting until we could resurrect everybody.
I remember.
Yeah.
Oh man, it was hard, and then, like I said, when Bryce joined into the picture, and then later on, my friend who would later become my wife, Cindy, we started hanging out, and we played a lot of like MMOs together, like World of Warcraft. That was the one that we played a lot, and all through this time, I mean, we played the kind of the more like Left 4 Dead 2, Halo, and then as that started going on, we played Minecraft a lot, and then Bryce and I really got into the survival games on Steam, like Rust and DayZ, and we played those like non-stop. That was fun. You remember when we got attacked by all those guys, and then those dudes came down the valley and saved us?
We tried being good guys.
We were just,
like,
we were out in the middle of nowhere building our fort, and somehow this team of like 5 dudes found us, and we had a huge base because no one was around to stop us. And so we had huge defenses, and these guys just came out and they started attacking us. And Bryce calls out on chat, like, didn't you call it Hacker Valley? Is that the name
Hacker
of it?
Valley.
Like, we're in Hacker Valley, we're getting attacked, we need help. And these dudes that were down the way from us were, like, amazing. And all of them came down and rescued us and became our friends. And, it was so good, dude. Oh, man, fantastic. That was a good memory. That was a good memory. Because also we were playing on laptops, so our lag was kind of crappy. So we were
Yeah.
trying to shoot at them and missing because the lag was just it was
Terrible.
The lag is real.
The lag was so real. It was lagging like a dragon. And so yeah, video games and comics. I can't even tell you how big of an impact all these things are. Comic books. I'm an independent comic book artist, writer of my own stuff. So all these things have impacted my livelihood, my life, my friends. That's how we've all connected. That's why we're all here. We played Destiny together. Our fire team, and it's been awesome. I love it. It's really created a lot of really cool friendships from people who you guys were just two dudes that are at our youth group. So, and again, all of these things we could go on for hours and hours, and I know I'm going to be mad because I left something out.
Hours, okay.
But
Okay, this is part 1. Hey everybody, it's episode 2. Just kidding.
So yeah, and there's more than that, but yeah, those are the ones that are coming to my mind right now, at least, and I know I'm gonna regret leaving something out. So, John?
Hi everybody. So for me, we're gonna start at a point that's funny. Mine was Godzilla.
Nice.
And from what Derek
Excellent.
has seen, we watched a lot of Godzilla, so I was really into Godzilla.
I grew up
So that's
watching
how
Godzillas,
me
too.
and my dad bonded, was watching Godzilla movies. So that's what really got me into the more of the Japanese culture.
Mhm.
And so I loved the Godzilla movies, even the horrible ones where he would talk,
Yeah.
which were atrocious
Yeah.
movies. But they became over time just funnier with how bad it
Yeah.
was.
They become awesome because
Yeah.
I remember when I was a kid watching them. I just liked them because they were.
Giant monsters
Giant
destroying
monsters.
buildings and blowing up crap.
And then I reached a point where I was like, man, these are so terrible. They're great.
Yeah.
Like,
There's some of them where the acting makes the movie even better.
Oh, man.
My favorite's still one movie where there's one of the old guys when they're standing in the control center and he's like, oh, it's terrible. It's terrible. And he's just making a face and shaking his hands together like he's having a stroke while he says it oh, it's terrible. And of course the voiceovers, oh, it's terrible. But I guess if I listened to it with just subtitles, and it was the same thing where it was way overacted.
Yeah.
Okay, dude, calm down. But that's where it started. Then it hit. For me, it would hit the same point. I think from Bryce, and I think Derek did too, where it was Toonami.
Yeah.
And I remember watching Dragon Ball Z. That was a cultural thing for me of just every night I could, I had turned it on at night and I just watched Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
I don't even think I watched many. I think I watched some of the others, but that was the main one I watched.
Yeah, same with me.
I'll go even further. Anime, with me, there was so much anime I watched. Pokemon, definitely, everybody did. Digimon, I am a huge fan of Digimon. I still own the first season when it came out, about 2 years ago. But I watched every episode of that all the way through until they just gave up on life with Digimon. Until recently, where they were just making Digimon series where it was hey, look, now the Digimon and the people are one person. It's
Oh,
no,
yeah.
stop that, stop.
Boo.
Boo. And I'll go as far, and I'm going to say this because it's true. In the mornings when they were during school days when they'd have cartoons coming on in the morning, they had Sailor Moon.
Yeah.
I watched Sailor Moon. Tuxedo Mask all the way, baby. So
man.
for me, anime was huge for me. I watched it. It wasn't until I'd say recent years that I really got back into it. Full Metal Alchemist, Bleach, Tokyo Ghoul, favorite anime, Tokyo Ghoul, and all these different shows. For me, it was really Digimon and Yu-Gi-Oh! That really pushed me into stuff. Because Yu-Gi-Oh! Or no, I'd say Pokemon. Because Pokemon cards I got really into. And then Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards I was playing with my friends at school. I was that nerd. I was sitting down, and during lunchtime, we were sitting at a table dueling. And I was sending them to the Shadow Realm. Comic-wise, I was kind of basic comics. I was into Spider-Man, Batman.
Yeah.
Same with Derek. I watched the cartoons. X-Men all the way, though. And and I love them just because of also it's the same thing I've said in a couple of my videos. You look back on some of those cartoons and they're bad. But now they're so bad, it's funny. When there's a point when Wolverine stops people from walking and says, and he smells, and he goes, electronic beams.
So Wolverine is able to smell electronic beams.
Which okay, canon,
according
whatever.
To the cartoon.
And just the voice actor who did Wolverine especially, one point where he points at Cyclops after Morph dies and he's like, I go where I wanna go. And it's just like it's the same thing though, like looking back, I was really into like the Transformers original cartoon, the G.I. Joe, TMNT, which is bad. Like all those shows back then were fantastic. They were top of the line best shows that were around for cartoons. Yeah. But looking back on them, no, not now.
You let them live in your memory.
Yeah, live and let die. But yeah, so it was big in that. And then after that, like comic book wise, it wasn't until I started hitting my teens that I all of a sudden was really into Dragon Ball Z again. I was reading comics a lot now, and if I couldn't read it, I was online looking up stuff about it. Like we were talking like Civil War. If we're talking video games, I've talked about how I played Mario and stuff like that. Was really into it, loved it. PlayStation was Ratchet and Clank that really drove me into video games, especially once I got Infamous. I loved Infamous and all those games. But if I would say there's like a game that really like kicked it off for me that really would do anything for like my nerd and geek, it was the Nintendo DS, and we're talking Pokemon Blue and Red. Pokemon Blue and Red changed everything.
Wait, on the DS?
The Game Boy Color, sorry. What?
Bryce gave me a look and I was like, wait, what did he say?
It's not my fault they come out with a new system every month and it's a different name.
But they did just re-release Pokemon Red and Blue recently
for the 3DS.
For the 3DS.
And I have it on my...
I can't wait till they announce the 4DS or something. I don't... But
the 4D?
Yeah, the 4D.
You smell the Pokemon?
Yeah.
Is that 4D?
Yeah. But
Squirtle uses Squirt.
There were just countless kids at school just playing their Game Boy Color. Was it Game Boy Color or just Game Boy?
I don't know.
I think it was
Game Boy Color.
I think it was Color, yeah. But
the three
people
colors.
just sitting there at lunchtime, and there's just droves of people with their Game Boy Color just playing Pokemon. And people, this was back in the day where instead of using the Wi-Fi to trade Pokemon, we had to bring the giant extension cord to connect the link cable. We could talk about all the bad products Nintendo had over the years. We could.
That wasn't that bad though.
No, I was talking about what popped in my head, like their camera and their printer and all that.
That was fantastic.
But that was the one that really like kicked it off. Because Pokemon, it was one thing, like I was watching it, but then I was also playing it. There's the card game. And it just had so much. And then like over the last few years or so, it's just been, I've been really getting into stuff. I'm watching more and more anime. Thank you, Crunchyroll, a sponsor if they want to be.
We just seem like we're out here like desperate for people to sponsor us.
Well, because we say it and then we're like, no sponsor. They're not actually a sponsor, and it just makes
we're open to it.
But what's the new one I'm watching? The one that's on my hat, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, bizarre show. It's very true. Yeah. It's named itself well. Name. But just opening myself up. I love those kind of stuff. They're very creative, very fun. But yeah, that would be me.
I would say Ninja Turtles were a big one too for me. You touched on that earlier.
You can go on forever about influence.
Forever.
Just talking about those voices of those cartoons too.
Yeah. But I hope that are you done? I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I'm good. I'm done.
I hope that this has been we're gonna be continuing right now. No. I hope this.
Hey everybody, it's Lamer and Yeti here for episode 2.
Lemurians and Yetinites. I think that still needs to be a thing. I hope that you've enjoyed this, and what are your nerdy things? You don't have to be a nerd. What are these things that have influenced your what are the things you like? If you like football, why? Like, what was it? What was that early memory for you?
And if you play fantasy football, you're a nerd and a geek.
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Don't. Yeah.
If you're adding up numbers, crunching numbers, statistics,
Yeah.
and all that, you're a nerd and a geek. Deal with it.
Oh yeah.
And it's a compliment, not an
It's
insult.
not. Yeah, it's not. We're not saying it's a bad thing. All of us here.
One of us. One of us. One
All of us here.
of
We
us.
played fantasy football. We had a church league, and we all played. And John won both leagues that he.
The
was
champ is here!
I had to give him a shout out. He owned. And so, I mean, what these early things? Think about it. Tell your loved ones. Tell us. Comment. Tell us what are these decisions that, or these early memories you have that led to, you don't realize how much these things impact your life. That might be a little melodramatic, but I'm just saying, like, I'm pursuing a career in this stuff,
Mm-hmm.
That's had a huge impact on my life, and I would say for the most part it's been a positive impact, and it's brought all of us together, and we've brought us all closer together, and again, this is very melodramatic, but Nico and Michael, like I was saying, these guys were just two dudes that were at our youth group, and we were the leader. I was the leader, and they grew older and they became leadership with us, and then we all started bonding over playing Destiny, and now they're like our best friends in our group, and it's been really cool because there's so many times that it's opened up doors that weren't there. Like once, as a youth leader at our church, there's times where there's kids that, I talk to them and I bring up a video game, or they bring up a video game. I'm like, wait, what? Like, oh, you play that? Like, dude, I play that. Like, that's cool. All of a sudden, it brings down that barrier, and we talk about it, and it's just like, sports for a lot of people are like that. You talk about, this is my team, what's your team, and whatever, what have you, and it's really cool. And I implore you, I challenge you to think about these things. Think about, and just kind of, I don't know, tell your own story to someone around you, or to us. We'll listen, in a comment, video response. I don't know. If you know us, talk to us. Tell us your story. I'm sure that we'd like to hear it. Maybe not Nico, because he's a jerk, and he always is constantly telling me that his time is much too valuable for me.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. But yes, I hope this has been fun for you guys. This is a blast for us, and so thank you for listening.
Everyone wave and say thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Bryce, you're not
Thank you.
waving.
You guys
Thank
got
you.
to say thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you for listening to another episode of What Are We Talking About? The Lemur and Yeti podcast, featuring Comalacta, Red Wolf, and War Pony. And of course, your hosts. Well, they're all the hosts, but your main hosts, Lemur and Yeti.
Bye.
Thank you guys. We'll catch you on the flip day.
TTFN.
Bye.
Buzz.